Welcome to the OtherWorldsGG Community Cast. I am Table for Two. This is episode number 7. I am joined today by my partners in crime, both Alien Pickle and Mellified. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, this is Mellified. I am doing very well. I think it's important that I disclose that if we get busted, I'm going to flip on you like in a New York minute.
Wow. Loyalty.
No loyalty.
Loyalty to not the end. Okay, got it. All right.
Yeah. No, it's I'm going to sell you out. That's all I'm saying. Jim, how are you doing?
You know, I noticed it was after you said that the first time that Gilded actually apparently got shut down. So, yeah.
Maybe there's something to that.
Yeah.
Not a coincidence. Is that what you're telling me?
'Tis the season.
Well, I said I would turn on Table, to be clear. Jim, I assume you understand that you and I are in it to the end together.
Yes.
Oh wait. So he's the Marv to your Harry. I got it. All right. It's fine. That's Wet Bandits for you. Home Alone. Whatever.
Yes. I didn't remember their names or Marv and Harry. I admit, and I just watched that movie at Christmas. It's Joe Pesci. It's so Joe Pesci. Like, I forget that he has an actual character name.
Harry, you're missing some teeth, man. My gold tooth. What happened to my gold tooth?
All right, so we're here today to talk to you about Amway. No, sorry, that's my other podcast.
It's the Circles. The Circle Cast.
No, we're going to talk about the games that we're excited about in 2021, and there is a lot of them scheduled to come out. Hopefully, we're getting a lot of the ones that were supposed to be out in 2020 that got, COVID delayed potentially, but it's still a really strong year. It looks like browsing the list here, so I'm pretty excited.
Hey, we should start like a multi-level marketing video game distribution service where you can actually you don't get games from Steam, but you actually just buy them from your friends and neighbors, in your up chain.
Isn't that Kickstarter? Oh,
No, we need to turn it into like a pyramid scheme.
Interesting.
Yeah. It'll be, we could call it like, what could we call it? It'd be like PonziStarter.com. It's like Kickstarter, but a Ponzi scheme.
I think that I correct myself. I think that was Fig. Wasn't that the one where you bought into the profits of a video game?
Yeah. Okay. There it is.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Somebody's already done everything.
Yep.
Well, yeah, so going down this list, man, so 2021, games we're looking forward to. I mean, not necessarily games we're looking forward to, but there is a laundry list of games that are slated to come out this year. Some of which, like Mellified said, were supposed to come out yet last year, like, Halo Infinite, for example, was supposed to launch with the Xbox Series line of consoles, but got delayed a whole year. So instead of last Christmas, we'll get it this Christmas.
And hopefully better for it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. It did get, an interesting thing about that is it did get a lot of criticism by the fans in the community for not looking as good or polished. That a lot of people felt like the colors looked a little flat or it didn't look. And I think the idea was they were trying to go back to their roots of like Halo 1, their roots being another development company, but making it kind of look a little bit more like Halo of yesteryear. So
yeah, well, they certainly took the criticism to heart. So it'll be interesting to see what it actually comes out looking like. By all accounts, delaying that Sonic movie to redo all the CG and make Sonic not look super, super creepy paid off. I mean, the movie was successful and pretty well regarded. So
yeah, I thought it was supposed to be a comedy, but when I saw the original trailer for that Sonic movie, I was like, this is a horror film.
Yes. It would have been the smoothest marketing move ever to purposefully put it out looking like that just to make people freak out. And then they had never actually done
intended
all the CG.
It. Oh,
well,
yeah.
The only CG that was really that bad was just that fake trailer that they put out. And the real movie always looked like it did. but that would, the marketing.
I don't know.
Generating controversy is the way to get people talking about your movie. So Well, we're kind of going chronologically through the year. The first one that seems to be hitting this year on January 20th, so just a few days away from when you're hearing this podcast, is
probably
Hitman
after
3.
actually.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Hitman 3. I really have struggled with this series over the years. I love the moment to moment gameplay, but I found it a little too confusing. Like, where do I go? What am I supposed to do? And you have to sit and observe the world, and that got a little bit boring on the older generation versions of this game because there just wasn't a lot in the world. But the modern reboot of the series, which started a few years ago, they focused on making this rich living world. The Paris fashion show in the original game has hundreds of characters wandering around, and it feels like you're in a real place. And so that made the gameplay feel so much more realistic and engaging to me. I love that they added sort of this meta thing where they give you objectives or optional objectives, I guess I should say, of taking out the target in various ways. So I remember there's one where you can plant a bomb and blow the guy up at the computer, or you can get him make him sick and then get him in the toilet and drown him, or you can drop a lifeboat on his head. And that's all from like the early part of the first game, so I'm not spoiling too much. But it's just neat how they've done this. And what I love about IO Interactive in their choices with Hitman, all of the past levels carry forward if you've already purchased them into the new game as additional content. So you can go back and replay those levels in the modern engine, and they actually go back and enhance those levels. They added a bunch of foliage and new things from Hitman 1 to Hitman 2, and they're promising to do the same with Hitman 1 and 2 into Hitman 3. So
wait, I have a question about that, because Hitman 3 is going to be Epic exclusive, and Hitman 2 is not on Epic. So how is it if I own Hitman 2 that I get my stuff over into 3 with that?
So you would have to download and purchase and download, or have and download the game on another platform, probably Steam. You log into your IO Interactive account in game, and that registers your own.
Okay.
Yep, and that registers your purchases, and then when you go and play it in 3, you log in with that same account, and they go, "Oh yeah, of course you own all this stuff over on Steam, so here you go."
Well, you should inform the Rage Bait article person over at PC Gamer that's how it's going to work, because they were trying to rage bait, like, they're lying because it's not on the platform. So,
well, they also gave away Hitman on the Epic Store as one of the Epic free games, so it's not like they haven't made it available on Epic anyway.
Yeah, such journalism to look into these things and actually find the answers.
Well, how did they give it away for free and yet not sell it afterwards? That's strange.
I don't know. Well, I remember it being a free game at one point.
So do you guys remember?
Maybe I'm mistaken, but
do you guys remember the movie Ready Player One, or the book or whatever?
Yep.
I just find it interesting that the logo of the villain company was IOI, and yet the company making Hitman is also IOI. I'm a little suspicious there. So,
have either of you guys played the modern trilogy or the modern versions of Hitman?
The only modern day Hitman that I have played, or at least modernly made Hitman game that I've played, was Hitman Absolution. That was the last one I played.
Gotcha. Well, I really enjoy these ones. I think if you like dressing up in silly costumes and sneaking around and using the environment against your enemy, it can be a lot of fun. It does require a little bit of patience because you end up replaying the same level a decent amount, though.
Well, that's kind of the point, though, right? Is like there's a million ways to do the thing. So I could do it the simple way, or then I can sandbox it and make dumb stuff happen. So at some point you're making like a Rube Goldberg machine, right? That's just like, well, I'm going to do this thing that makes that guy do the other thing that'll make the dude fall out of the window. And then he lands on the broomstick that flips the cat in the air. And, it's like the Mousetrap board game. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I found that satisfying when there was a little bit of direction from the game in the form of those sort of meta objectives, where it tracks, have you killed the target, in all these different ways on this particular level. I liked that they kind of gave you a nudge there to give you a hint as to how you could do it, because in the older games, it was just so open-ended. It was a little bit hard to know what to do. And I ended up following a guide on some of them. And it's like, well, that defeats the whole purpose, right? That's not what the game's supposed to be about.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, let's move on to the Medium. This one's coming out the end of the month, end of January. It's an interesting concept because as a medium, the main character, you see the world, the spirit world and the real world simultaneously. And the game's actually rendering the entire game in those two worlds. You can switch between them at will. And obviously there's puzzles and things where you have to interact with different objects and the world, in one world or the other. But it's a horror game, and I am the biggest wuss. I was telling the guys earlier that I have a hard time with horror games. I had to buy a new pair of shorts after playing Resident Evil 7 in VR on the PlayStation. It was seriously like my heart rate was through the roof. I was sweating. It was really, really disturbing for me.
Yeah,
so
Resident Evil 7, like I noped out at the refrigerator, like at the very beginning. I was just like, because they let you walk around the kitchen.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, refrigerator, opened it. Yeah, I'll get back to this. I can only imagine what it's like in VR because you could actually smell it.
It felt like it, and it was even though the PSVR is junk compared to other VR headsets, because of the resolution and stuff is not very good. But even with the screen door effect being super prominent on the PSVR, it was so immersive and terrifying. I got through to meeting my wife, and maybe a little past that, meeting the first boss guy and doing that fight, and I couldn't handle it. It was too much. So I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about the Medium. I'm really hoping to play it because it sounds like a neat concept. It also has the composer from Silent Hill, Akira Yamaoka. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Is doing the soundtrack, so you're getting some nice horror legacy there. Any thoughts on this one, Hunter?
I've got none. I'm not usually too keen on horror games. They're just not my genre of interest. Although there are the occasional exceptions of, and I don't even know if you'd qualify them as horror games, but some of the zombie style games Left 4 Dead and stuff like that, I'm totally interested in, and I usually have fun playing. Alien Isolation,
yeah. Well, Alien Isolation is definitely horror. I would say, it's the.
I'm more.
The
I think I'm more freaked out by the Joes than I am from the damn aliens.
Well, yeah. We'll be talking about a successor to the Left 4 Dead games a little bit later, but I think I'm the only one who has a Nintendo Switch, so these next two I'll do real quick.
Well, I got thoughts, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, Super Mario 3D World originally was a Wii U release, and of course it's a remake of past Mario 3D games. And it was a pretty fun game on the Switch. It had 4-player co-op, which is kind of a novelty. It also, in fact, on the Wii U, it had a 5th player who could throw objects in the world for you, which was kind of interesting. On the Switch, it's getting just 4-player co-op. online or local. But it's also getting a new expansion called Bowser's Fury, and we've just started to get some interesting new details about that, where you're fighting like a massive kaiju Bowser as like Mecha Mario and stuff. So it looks really interesting that they've actually put some effort into this second go around of the game. It's a Nintendo first party title on the Switch. You're not going to do better in terms of quality and the gameplay experience. So this is definitely a buy for me. I know you guys don't have a Switch, so it's kind of academic, I suppose.
Well, so here's the goofy thing for me about this. So this is what's interesting about Nintendo. You know, Nintendo is like constantly like reselling their games over and over and over again, right? Like oh, it was here, now you can get it here, and now you can get it here, now you can get it. So it's like this constant thing. But what's interesting about what's going on here with Super Mario 3D World is I feel like, if I'm not mistaken, with them putting it over on the Switch with Bowser's Fury, this is like the third or fourth time they've done this game, but like added more content to it. Because I feel like this started out even on the Wii U. I feel like they kept putting out, because didn't they have like a Super Mario like 3D or something like that, or some other game that was like very similar to this, and then they made another version of it which was like almost the same game but it had more content, and now they're adding in
PG expansion, I think, is what you're thinking of on the Wii U.
Right, the Luigi thing. Right,
yes.
And so it was like, they kept adding more and more content to the same game. So now they're bringing this game over to the Switch and adding in even more content. And so I think it's quite interesting that they're going with this approach. So instead of just bringing it over, they're not just bringing it over, they're bringing it over and adding more content, which I think keeps it viable, because it lessens that sting of like, man, I've got to buy this game again.
Well, and the poor Wii U. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, you, me, and the three other people who owned the Wii U are really annoyed because we've already bought this game. But the majority of the world has never played any of the Wii U catalog except on the Switch when they've been re-released.
And that's the other problem too. Is like I also got Breath of the Wild on the Wii U as a digital download with like the collector's edition stuff, because that's what I did, and yet, you know, you could also get it on the Switch, but I was like, well, if I've already got it on the Wii U, why do I need to buy a Switch and this game again just to play this game, when the only other game at the time that was interesting and hadn't even come out yet at that time was Mario Odyssey. So, like, I'm not trying to, like, shit on the Switch here or anything, but it's one of those things where Nintendo's got this problem. The same thing happened with Twilight Princess. They released Twilight Princess on the GameCube, they released Twilight Princess on the Wii. I was like, I've already got a GameCube, and I'm going to buy it on the GameCube. And I preferred playing it with a controller rather than motion controls. So there
As did everyone with a brain. Yes.
Right, yeah. So it's just
I find it interesting that Nintendo is going exactly 180 degrees from the rest of the console people, because the other console people are like, hey, do you have old games? Bring them with you to the next gen.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then Nintendo is actively hostile to that. So.
Well, they've, I think, changed their strategy, right? Because the GameCube could play 3DS games if you bought like a little add-on. The Wii could play GameCube games.
No. It could play Game Boy Advance games.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're correct.
I was like 3 what? When?
Oh no. I'm sorry. Yeah, the GBA games. The Wii could play GameCube games, at least the initial run,
which I have. Yeah, I've got the one you can actually open up the little port on top, and it's got the 4 GameCube controller ports, and
the Wii U could play Wii games. So they have had backward compatibility until the Switch, and I think because the Switch was such a departure from what the Wii U was and what the Wii U capabilities were and design were, I don't know how they would have made it compatible.
I think Jim has a really great point, though, in that the digital market space has not been the same. So like the Wii U, like the Wii Shop on the Wii was different than the Wii U, which is different than on the Switch. It's not like the same account, like it's the same account but like different stores, and
and also there are a lot of games, say in the GameCube space, right, that would play stunningly well on the Switch, but they do not sell those to me in the East shop, right? So, like, I can buy old SNES games, but I can't get N64
well,
games.
you can't even buy SNES games. You can buy Nintendo Switch Online, which gives you a library of SNES games, but they don't actually sell. They don't have a virtual console equivalent on Switch.
Okay.
So I think not to detract from talking about these new games, but Jim brings up a really great point, because like there are stuff that I had bought on my 360 and the 360 like digital market space. I think the HD remaster of Perfect Dark from the N64 that they released on the 360 is a prime example of that. I still have that in my account, and I can play that on my Xbox One X even to this day. So it's like, it's tied to my account, and this console supports that content. The weird thing is like going from the Wii to the Wii U to the Switch, those systems could play those games, they're just not tied together. It's not like, I bought this thing under my account on the Wii as a virtual game, let me download and play it on my Switch. Why Nintendo has not done that is just so
well.
Like, I feel like I understand licensing can be a factor in that, but it's kind of like with Steam. Like if I've bought a game on Steam that they then discontinue on Steam, I can still download and install that game even though it's no longer being sold. Same thing with GOG, right? With GOG. So like I don't understand why, even if I've previously purchased something under my account over on this thing over here, why can't I not pull it down on this console over here? And I feel like Nintendo would actually do themselves a service if they really just hunkered down and focused on that like really hard, and stopped focusing on their hardware just for a hot minute and really just like focused on that ecosystem piece. I think they would sell like hotcakes.
Well, do they still tie digital download to the physical hardware that you downloaded it to?
Well, on the Wii U they did, but
not on the Switch. They've finally entered the modern age with the Switch, where it's tied to your account, not to your system.
Oh, thank God, because I remember people talking about like my Switch died, Switch.
This happened to
my
me.
Wii died, and then I got a new one, but then I have to call Nintendo and beg for them to transfer my purchases to my new serial number, and oh my God.
So I had a Wii that had like Super Mario 64 on it and a couple other 64 games I got from the eShop, right? And I ended up because I was in the process of like cleaning house, so I ended up giving my Wii to a friend of mine as a gift for his birthday because he really wanted one but he couldn't afford one, and I was like, so here you go. And then something happened and someone tripped over it or whatever, and it like cracked. And he went to go get it replaced, and like all that stuff was gone. So it was just like he could not. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's why I'm glad. I hear what you're saying, and I agree that would be great for Nintendo to do. I think with the Wii, they finally set themselves up to make that a possibility. I'm sorry, with the Wii, with the Switch, I think they finally set that up in such a way, their systems and stuff, to actually start doing that, but I don't see them ever going back and pulling forward any of your purchases from the past at this point. I just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. All right, so let's move on to another Switch release, Bravely Default 2. This is a Square Enix RPG. Bravely Default came out on PC eventually. I have it there, and I haven't played it yet, but it's on my list. So I don't have a whole lot to add about this one. Do you guys have anything?
Keep going.
All right. Next one that looks interesting. I know, Hunter, you are excited for It Takes Two.
Yeah, actually, I'm very excited because this is from the same people who did A Way Out, which you and I both had a really good time playing through, and the co-op adventures of the
talked about that on the show a few episodes ago.
Yeah, the escaped prisoners mellified and Table for Two. Yeah.
Traitor.
So, well, don't give it away. But anyway, so that was a really great game, and after having that experience and seeing the trailers and the stuff for It Takes Two, I am extremely excited for this one. I am really looking forward to seeing this game and actually playing it. So,
I saw an interview with the director just recently, Joseph Fares, talking about how EA didn't think that A Way Out would sell, and so they were very reluctant to do it. And he sort of convinced them, and then it was a million seller. In part, I think, because it was a $30 game, and it was $30 for 2 copies, effectively, because your friend could play with you with one purchase. But really interesting, how they seem to have come sort of around to the idea that these kind of games can sell. So hopefully we'll see more of these in the future.
Should be interesting.
Jim, you're a bit of a Monster Hunter fan. Is it fair to say?
I've hunted the occasional monster, yes.
So have you followed the news of Monster Hunter Rise at all?
I watched some people playing it. They have a demo that's out, and it's yet another reason that I hate the Nintendo Switch, because I can't play it.
Oh, well, they do sell them occasionally if you can find one.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I would totally play that game if it was on PC, but because it's on the Switch, I don't think it'll ever get ported to PC. Because you see PlayStation stuff and whatever get ported over, but you never see Switch stuff. I guess Nintendo probably has like some super lockdown on their things.
I think because the capabilities are so different. What looks good on a, even a 1080p Switch is going to be hard to make look good in 4K on the PC.
Yeah, and it looks really good. Like, just watching it, like a stream on Twitch or whatever of somebody playing that, and it's like, I would totally play that on PC. It's cool. Seems like they've got some new systems that are in there. All the old weapons are back, and then there's maybe some new ones and stuff, but it's I was expecting it to look a lot more cartoony than it does, and it kind of looks a lot like the PC version, but just a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this does. I didn't play. They ported one of the 3DS Monster Hunters to Switch. 3 Ultimate, I think. I haven't played that. I just did the PC console one. Any thoughts on this one, Hunter, before we go on?
No, I've enjoyed Monster Hunter, but I'm not as attached to it as Jim is.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of fun co-op games, Outriders looks really interesting to me. This is one I kind of had my eye on. The developers describe it as Mass Effect meets Diablo, and it's like action RPG, looter shooter kind of mashed together. But the cool thing is it's drop in, drop out, 3-player co-op. So, you guys can see me online playing, hop in my game. We can all run around together. You guys get bored, you can hop out, I can keep going, whatever. And so I always like that convenience factor. But I'm eager to see how this plays and if they can get kind of the mix right between the action RPG elements and the looter shooter part.
Yeah, I've been keeping my eye on this one too. I'm really curious about it. I don't know as much about it, but like I've definitely seen it, and it's definitely one I'm keeping my eye on for sure.
Very good. Going down the list here, yes.
I was gonna say, I think if we're gonna, I don't know if you've got anything else in between these, but my eyes on Deathloop right now. From the same makers as Dishonored and Prey, right? These 2 different assassins battling in a, I guess as they call it, a retro future 60s inspired kind of world. I'm excited that it's coming to the PC. That way I'll be able to get to play it, because I remember when I first saw it, they were talking about the PlayStation, but I'm really glad that it's coming to the PC. I definitely
and
like
Xbox eventually. It just
Right.
It's a
Yeah,
timed
yeah.
exclusive. Yeah.
Right. But I'm really excited to see it because I've liked Dishonored. I liked Prey. Those are some really good games there, and so I'm really excited to see what they come out with this one.
Yeah, the whole time loop concept looks really interesting. I'm curious to see how it plays. So going on, at least theoretically, Far Cry 6 is coming out in 2021. Technically, Ubisoft's financial year, which is all they've committed to, stretches to March of 2022. But Giancarlo Esposito, who played in Breaking Bad, and he's the big baddie in Mandalorian, the first 2 seasons at least, is a dictator, and it's like him and his son are kind of the big bads in this latest installment. I love the Far Cry games. I've really enjoyed most of them.
Far Cry 5 was spectacularly like entertaining. Jim and I definitely played a whole lot of that co-op together, and oh boy, like just the content, the action, the humor, like the whole thing was just loads of fun. Yeah.
I mean, I loved New Dawn, which was the 30 years later after the end of Far Cry 5. It set up, used the same map, but set up some different things going on, and it added some base building elements and some other sort of meta gameplay stuff that actually was last seen in Far Cry Primal, which is the most underrated game. I'm going to put it out there right now. If you haven't played Far Cry Primal, it is always on sale somewhere. Go get it. It is so much fun. The intensity of, I don't have in Far Cry. At some point, you get a good gun and you get a couple grenades or whatever, and you're Bob's your uncle. You're good to go. In Primal, it's savage. It's up close. It's melee. It's a spear. It's a club. It's smashing other cave people's faces in and dealing with friggin' jaguars and stuff. It is just so gut wrenching, and I love it. It is so intense. Primal does not get enough love, but that all said, you can play Primal while you're waiting for Far Cry 6, which is supposed to come out in May. Any thoughts on Far Cry series, Jim? Any impressions of 6?
I too really liked Primal, and what I find more fun than actually playing the Far Cry games is there's a guy, it's Stealth Gamer BR on YouTube, that plays these games, and he plays them to a level of mastery that he sets up things in those games that it, like you were talking about with the Hitman games, he plays the Far Cry games like a Hitman game, where he'll go in and like set up places where he can just glory kill like a whole bunch of people. And like there was one thing in Primal where at the beginning of the engagement, he chucks a spear like straight up in the air, and then he goes and stealth kills like 3 guys, and then another guy like notices that he's there and like turns to, gets like the alert animation, and then that spear that he threw seconds ago like lands in that guy's head, and it's just like,
wow,
I will never achieve this in games. So I'll send you a link to his channel because it's just exquisite watching this guy play stuff. And he plays like Metal Gear games, anything that you can just stealth murder people in, he does it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm as stealthy in Far Cry up until I get detected, and then the assault rifle comes out and everybody dies in a hail of bullets. So maybe not quite as talented as this guy is for sure. Hunter, you alluded to Left 4 Dead earlier. Do you want to talk about Back 4 Blood?
Yeah, Back 4 Blood. I'm same folks who actually did Left 4 Dead. I'm a big fan of the Left 4 Dead series. I like Left 4 Dead 2. They were great fun. I've recently gone back to them to kind of like take another look at them, and they still hold up. There's a lot of really great community made mods. I think one of the best ones was the Helm's Deep map. that you can do where it's just, you got hordes of zombies coming at you and you're on the walls of Helm's Deep, and you've got to keep defending, and it's quite entertaining. But
it's the lesser known Tolkien Lord of the Rings spinoff where they all get infected by zombies. Is that
right? Yeah.
Is that the lore?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was it was like one of the ones written by his like nephew or like second cousin or something. I don't know. But yeah. So Back for Blood though, and here at Otherworlds, we love co-op gaming. We love community gaming together with friends. I mean, we're big fans of Deep Rock Galactic and anything that's in that kind of vein of just fun co-op gameplay together. And so this is just another entry into that realm that I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. This comes out in the summer, so it'll be a great summer game to play with your friends, I think.
Awesome. Jim, did you ever play Left 4 Dead much, or was that not your thing?
Played it some, but not a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of I enjoyed it, but I never got really into it like some folks did. So I'm looking
mainly the
Back
thing
for
of
Blood.
just, like not having friends that were into it. If I'd had friends that were more into it, then sure.
Well, everyone is of course into our next mashup game, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. So this is pulling in the earlier Lego Star Wars games, which included, the original trilogy. They did a Clone Wars Lego game, as well as a Lego game based on the original or the prequel trilogy. And they've done one game in the modern Star Wars trilogy.
So I mean, I was curious about that because when they came out with that one, I was like, oh, interesting. They're going to keep going on with this. And then like episode 8 comes out, nothing. Episode 9 comes out, nothing. And like, here we are, and it's 2021. And it was just like, man, like I was really getting curious about this. If they were ever going to do any more Lego Star Wars. I'm actually, despite my distaste for 7, 8, and 9, I'm actually really looking forward to the Skywalker Saga Lego game because I love most of the Lego games. I've got the Jurassic Park one. I have all the Harry Potter ones. I've got all the Star Wars ones, Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit ones. I love those. Those are so much fun. And so the thing that I love about the Skywalker Saga is like as it says here in this article we've been looking at is that it's not just a simple remake. It's like they're redoing all of it. They're gonna. It's very much a brand new thing that's going to have all 9 of the films represented. So
yeah, and it's and the original Lego Star Wars were one of the very first Lego games that came out. So a lot of the gameplay elements that we're used to in the modern games were not part of that original trilogy Lego games. So I'm actually kind of hoping they put a new shine of polish on it. That said, I'm not playing 7, 8, or 9. I'm just not like. Maybe
for what it's worth, I mean, because like even like the Jurassic Park stuff. So like Jurassic World was all right. I prefer like Jurassic Park 1 and 2. Like those to me that's all that exists realistically. But like playing through the game portions of things, like the Hobbit movies, for example, I just think were just not that great. They do not compare to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but yet I still play them because I do find them entertaining from like an entertainment perspective. So I'm going to give, and I have episode 7, the Lego version of it. And then for a game, I think they're entertaining. Whilst I don't like the movies, I do think that they could definitely be entertaining.
Well, that's fair. And good level design and fun, characters can make a big difference there. Especially if they sort of do it tongue in cheek, as Lego tends to do, and make fun of.
And who knows? Maybe the game will be better than the movie.
It'd be hard to be worse. Let's put it that way. But the one thing that I'm disappointed about with this one is they're still refusing to do online co-op for this.
Yeah.
And with Steam you can do it. With PS4 you can kind of do it with the virtual player 2 stuff, but I'd still like to see it built in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do wanna get this and try out the let's play together option with it and see how it goes. Because I really enjoy these games. So
Agreed. Any thoughts, Jim, before we move on to Mass Effect?
No.
I don't know. I'm gonna dive in on this one because holy smokes, I played the crap out of this entire trilogy. I remember this is one of the few games that I got excited about hearing Casey Hudson talk about it at E3 before the original Mass Effect came out. It For me, I loved the concepts that they were talking about of tactical first-person shooter gameplay, almost like there's a series of games that Ubisoft now publishes where it's first-person shooter World War II, but at any point you can zoom out and give orders to your troops. Band of Brothers or something like that. But anyway, I loved that concept that they talked about in the first one, and all that went out the window, unfortunately. Even the original Mass Effect, it was so toned down as to be non-existent. But I really enjoyed the games nonetheless. I liked the story. I liked the aliens. I liked the world or the universe that they created and the mysteries. There are criticisms with the story, but like it was so epic, and some of your decisions had such an impact on the world and the story, which is, across 3 games especially, is so unheard of. I was really, really impressed, and I love the idea that we'll actually be able to play these, with some upscaled graphics and get all the content and have it all ready to go. Really, really excited about this one. How about you guys?
yeah, I'm really excited for it too, especially with the announcement of them doing a new Mass Effect game with what looks like will be the same, at least in recent history of timeline from the events of Mass Effect 3, or at least that could be the assumed position based on the teaser trailer they did for the new Mass Effect game. I absolutely love the Mass Effect series. I especially love Mass Effect 2. I think Mass Effect 2 for me is probably like a shining example of how to do a space opera sci-fi RPG right. I feel like there was just so much about that particular entry into the trilogy that was just like, this is fantastic. And three was more of the same of that, but like, 3 kind of branched out and did a couple other extra things a little differently. And so it's not necessarily bad, but like I definitely loved 2 the most in that entire trilogy. So I'm really looking forward to having like a quote unquote Master Chief collection of Mass Effect games, right? So
I'm interested to see if they're going to sort of patch up some of the weaker parts of the older games, or even 3. The scanning the planet versus landing on the planet. Some people love the Mako and driving around in your souped up space buggy. Other people hated it. I personally detested sitting there and scanning planets to gather resources. I thought that was stupid. So there's those contentious parts that I don't know if we're going to get some options to skip them or make them a little bit less obnoxious. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Jim, anything to add before we move on, sir?
No, I'm good. I'm just kind of like, I want to see what happens with the Mass Effect remaster stuff and like new Mass Effect things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting.
I'm not so much into like more Mass Effect at this point because I'm so burnt with Andromeda. It's just like, yeah, please just let this die.
I don't know. I think I was one of the few people that actually liked Andromeda, especially after it got patched. I played all the way through it, and I actually rather enjoyed it, but whatever. I'm an exception, I guess.
I want to burn through a few more of these because we're only partway through the year. New World is a new MMO from Amazon's game publishing arm, which has not been a stellar success, I think it's safe to say. They've struggled to kind of find a big hit released so far, but By all accounts, New World has come a long way. It really is starting to look promising. So, are you guys interested? I know we got some MMO fans in the house.
I mean, I've seen some of the beta stuff for this. It's not grabbing my attention. So I think seeing the final product is probably what I'll need to see before I really kind of pass judgment, but it's not something that like I'm not going to like ignore it. I'll definitely check it out when it comes out, but like it's not really on my list of like, yeah, awesome.
I think it's hard with an MMO because so much of the game is the systems, and those don't demo easily, right? You kind of have to play it to get the feel. Jim, are you going to play New World?
Probably not.
All right. Let's see. Moving on, we've got a new entry in the Gran Turismo series for the PlayStation 5. No surprise there. The new Ratchet & Clank game, Drift Apart, is also coming out for PS5. This has been... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is a very hard thing for me because I love the Ratchet & Clank series and I don't own a PlayStation, and this is calling to me. I would love if Sony just did a version of Game Pass that had this, because I would freaking pay for that just to play Sony's library of games on my computer. Specifically,
well, it's tough to justify buying a PlayStation for one game, but if there was one game, I think this is probably it. This looks like one of the most next gen experiences we've seen so far, at least.
Agreed. Yes.
Battlefield's getting another installment in the end of the year, 2021. We're also, as Hunter mentioned at the beginning of the show, getting Halo Infinite. Very excited to play Halo. I love the co-op in the series. I'm terrible at the multiplayer, but I play it anyway because it's fun. Anything about Master Chief's newest entry? It will be coming out for PC too. That's probably worth mentioning.
I'm just excited for the fact that Microsoft owns Bethesda now, so we might actually get an official like cross between, Doom Guy and Master Chief. So we'll see if they, do anything with that. I'm curious to see if they could do anything with that, especially in multiplayer.
So. Yeah, well, it'd be easy to be a skin, I suppose. So
Master Chief finds a portal to hell, and that'll be like the next Halo.
That would be interesting. We're getting another Lord of the Rings game. For those who don't follow on the TV side, Amazon is launching a massive sprawling Lord of the Rings TV series, and so there's kind of a renewed interest in all things Lord of the Rings. This is apparently described as kind of a mostly non-combat game with primarily stealth, where you sneak around as Gollum. I don't know how I feel about that. Of all the characters in Lord of the Rings that I want to play, Gollum isn't even... I wouldn't even thought to put him on the list, frankly. What do you guys think?
I've got zero interest.
I feel like stealth as a goblin is already covered by, I can't remember the name of the game.
There's two Styx games that do that. Yeah, that one looks weird. GTA 5 is going to be no, it's going to live on. It is getting a next gen release on PS5 and Xbox Series in the second half of 2021. So, yeah,
it's like Skyrim. Yay!
Well, I think that probably the more interesting part or more sensible part is they're doing a GTA Online standalone release that, like they've already Red Dead Online.
I was about to say they've already started doing that with Red Dead.
So I think that's probably what. I hope what that means is we will see Grand Theft Auto 6 without the online portion. The online will be kind of a standalone thing because I feel like, I don't need those two, peanut butter and chocolate or whatever, in my...
Here's something for you. I think what they need to do with their online thing is, I think this is where this concept would work. So Fallout 76 introduced this, like, you can pay, like... like $1 or something. I don't know what it is. It was like some cheapo like thing to get access to like your own private instance for like you and your friends. I really think that that's what GTA Online needs, because like I don't always want to engage with just the hackers. I don't always want to engage with like the ridiculous griefers. I would rather be able to go in and just have a really good time with like a group of my friends, like just have fun playing the damn game. Because there is a lot of content there that is a lot of fun. But like when you add in the mix of just like the constant, like, you know, you get booted into a server and it's got like a bunch of hackers doing like money drops all over the place, and the next thing you know, a whale falls on your face. And while that's funny at first, the first time it happens, you know, having it happen every time you go and play starts to become obnoxious. And I want to like GTA Online, but that's something that I really think that they need to do.
They fixed some of that. I know. They spent a lot of effort trying to, you know, shore up the technical side of it, because it has been such a success. And I'm hoping, you know, going back and redoing the engine again will help them be successful this time around, or more successful. Moving on, we have Horizon Forbidden West, which is a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. This one's coming for PS4 and PS5, which should be kind of interesting, but they are saying they're really doing two different versions of the game, one for PS5 that's focused on taking advantage of the PS5 versus the PS4 version. Now, this Horizon Zero Dawn did eventually come to PC, so I'm kind of hoping this one will hit PC so we can talk about it down the road. But did you guys ever play the original?
For a few minutes. I need to go back and actually play it now that they've patched it and made it like fully functional on the PC.
Yeah,
it had problems when it came out on the PC. They had a lot of issues.
Yeah, I got through the tutorial on the PS4 when it first came out, and it just didn't grab me. I know that's blasphemy to a lot of folks, but I'm not a huge, like I alluded to earlier, playing Far Cry. I kind of go stealth until I get detected, and then you know the bullets start flying, and you can't do that in Horizon Zero Dawn. You really have to be sneaky and stealthy the whole time, and that just doesn't appeal to me a whole lot. All right, so browsing through the rest of our list, I think probably there's another big PlayStation exclusive, God of War Ragnarok, which is the sequel to the 2018 God of War reboot. We're getting a new Batman game in Gotham Knights, which is due sometime this year. Batman, well, actually, I shouldn't call it a Batman game because Batman's dead. But it's Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, and the Red Hood trying to save Gotham or protect Gotham in the wake of Batman's demise. So that seems like it should have a spoiler tag somewhere in there. I don't know. That's a little crazy to think of a world without Batman.
Yeah, I've not really been like, I haven't really played the Batman games. I mean, I enjoy Batman, but like the games just haven't really called to me.
Yeah, they're very well regarded, but again, it's very stealth heavy gameplay, and I just haven't. I don't know.
I just feel like I have enough of that at this point because I have all the other ones, and it's like I still have yet to get half the Riddler trophies and Gotham. So yeah,
well, yeah, you got work to do.
I still feel like the original Arkham Asylum game was the best one.
Interesting.
And Arkham Knight was kind of like, yeah. It's interesting how Batman can't kill anybody, but they wanted to put a tank in the game. So how do we have Batman have a tank but not kill anybody? Well, we fight robots. And
there you go.
You know, it's like, okay.
Moving on, we've got Psychonauts 2 coming out. This one really looks interesting. Double Fine got acquired by Microsoft in the middle of development, so it will be getting a bunch more features that they had originally cut due to budget. It is it will not be an Xbox exclusive though. It is coming to PC and PS4. So I'm interested to see how this goes. The original Psychonauts is a great little platform puzzler game. If you haven't played it, it's worth a revisit. But I'm hoping this one lives up to the legacy there.
I think the next game on this list that I'm really interested to talk about is Stalker 2.
Wow, that's way down there. You skipped over a couple.
I skipped over like 5.
Okay, well let's briefly say there is a new Resident Evil mainline game coming out, Resident Evil Village. There's Shadow Warrior 3, which Shadow Warrior 1 and 2 are really fun and hilarious if you enjoy kind of wacky scatological humor. Really, really fun. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is coming. It is a Persona. The Persona games are based on the Shin Megami Tensei world. So, and this is the first new one since 2016.
Okay, so this isn't like Persona 5. It's something else 5.
Yes. But it's the same universe though as Persona. It's kind of confusing that way. It will be out for Switch though and PS4. So I may be the only one playing that, but I'm pretty excited. So let's talk about Stalker 2 though.
Get out of here, Stalker. Yeah, this is something that Jim and I on and off for years have talked about. Like we've talked about the Stalker series and all the different Stalker like mods or like, whatever that's come out. It's an interesting world. It's an interesting because we got what was it? We got Metro, which was another very interesting like similar concept, it's post-apocalyptic kind of so anyway, I'm just really curious about this. I'm really looking forward to what they're going to do with this one, and the fact that we're actually getting a sequel to Stalker, like finally, like now, I think is great, and so I'm really looking forward to it. So,
yeah, Stalker has always been an interesting concept of a game, but the actual playing of the game is its own detriment to me. So it's I don't know. It's so clunky, right? I would welcome a modernized Stalker with a new engine and the like same old world in a more modern like Call of Duty.
They're remaking Stalker in Unreal,
and it's insane,
bro. Anyway,
we should just do an episode called The Bro Show where we just
channel our favorite YouTuber.
Yeah, it'd be like a bulleted list, but it's a broad list.
Yep. I don't know. I think that's what we're going to get with this, though. I think we're going to get a modernized, newer engine, less clunky Stalker, and from all the things that I've been seeing about it. So fingers crossed that becomes true, and we'll see what comes of it.
We have Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which has had some pretty troubled development. I'm hoping this game comes out and sort of redeems the franchise. The first one is one of the most well-known failures in that it had a great game, but they rushed it out the door. It was buggy. It was missing content. There's been some fantastic community patches, including stuff contributed by the original developer to fix the game. But it's in one of those weird licensing hells where the original game, nobody can really touch it officially. So you kind of have to rely on the community to fix it. But this sequel is, like I said, had some troubled development. They've lost developers. They've had delays. So it's a little unclear where this one's going to land, but I love the concept of it. Vampire Secret Society RPG just ticks a lot of boxes for me.
I'm interested. I'm curious. I'll check it out. I think the next one on the list we can probably all be excited about, which is Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. Now, I was very interested in Vermintide. I know I played with Jim some Vermintide for a while. Vermintide 2 is more of the same. But the problem with Vermintide is people are like, well, it's like, it's Warhammer, like Left 4 Dead. And I was like, yeah, but for some reason, like, I feel like Left 4 Dead was more entertaining than what Vermintide did. But having said that, I think Darktide will appeal to me a little bit more because it's going to be more of a 4-player co-op shooter rather than what Vermintide was, which was kind of like some weird co-op same map over and over RPG. If that makes any sense.
I think you're underselling at least Vermintide 2. With the DLC, I will say there's several really big maps that you can go through and some varied missions and stuff, but I agree it can get a little repetitive. The cool thing about Warhammer 40K though is you get both bolters and flamers and all the nasty 40K sci-fi projectile weapons, but you also get your chainsword and your friggin' giant electrified hammer, and you get to smash stuff and beat people in the face with them. So
yes,
I'm looking forward to that mashup of the two.
Yeah, Vermintide. The only thing that I don't dig is that the levels are static versus you play a game like Warframe, and it has a tile set, and then it randomly cobbles together a level out of a tile set. So every time you go into a mission, it's not going to be the same thing. But Vermintide, it's just like this level is this level always, right? Everything is where it is. So I can't see a lot of potential because the whole idea with Vermintide is that it's a grind fest of a game. So it's like, well, I get better equipment and stuff, and I level up my dude to play the same 5 maps over and over and over. Well, if I could beat the map without all this new gear, why do I need to grind for the gear? Right? It doesn't seem.
At least in Vermintide 1, it was very much that, yes.
Yeah, and I haven't played 2, so I don't know. But if the new thing, which is like a 40K Vermintide, is like that, then cool. I was not a big fan of how the Space Hulk Deathwing game got handled in that way. It got better, right? Whenever they did like Ultimate Edition, it still lacks the ability to flesh out. Like if you have 2 people and it's a 4-man game, so I can't add 2 bots. And I think that's just super stupid. So either we have to wait for a full party or we go in like undergunned and you're going to pay for it because the difficulty doesn't adjust for that. That's one of those like 90% their games, like 90%. I'm all behind it, but that 10% kills it for me. So I don't know. My jury's out. So hopefully it's like sci-fi Left 4 Dead, basically, and then randomize the levels or something, because that's the only way you're going to really get life out of it that makes me happy.
All right. Well, getting down to the bottom of the list, but there are a couple big releases, or one big release left, I guess. Rainbow Six Quarantine. It's a 3-player tactical co-op game that pits you against a deadly parasite. This is kind of a single-player co-op version of a mode that was in Rainbow Six Siege last year. And they found that people really enjoyed it and they wanted to make a co-op game out of it. I enjoyed Rainbow Six series. I love the co-op gameplay. I still go back and play SWAT 4, which is sort of a early Rainbow Six like game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I have high hopes. Plus I love that it's co-op gameplay. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, and then there was one that was going to be out this year, and it got moved to 2022, which hopefully for the better. I'm going to give the honorable mention to the Hogwarts Legacy game that was supposed to come out. Even though it's been moved to a whole nother year, I'm still looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't had a really good Harry Potter game, I don't think, other than maybe the Lego one. So it'll be interesting to see.
Correct, and in my opinion that's why I love the Lego games, because it seems like, there was a period of time where we got games that like went with the movies, right? Like there's a whole like franchising thing. It was just like now experience the movie yourself in the new blah 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 for Super Nintendo, and you're just like, all right, cool. Um, they, like I think like in the early 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s, like we had episode 1, the game, which was better than the movie. And it was actually the episode 1 game that came out on PC and the PlayStation at the time was actually a pretty good game. Shockingly, it's a pretty good game for what it's worth, considering the movie, the prequel movie. But like over time, we've kind of gotten like less and less like movie versions of the games. I know the Harry Potter has gotten games in the past, but they've not really been interesting. And that's where I feel like, partnering with Lego has kind of turned the tide on that and made it interesting again. And to me, it's almost like the perfect companion to the movies, is having these Lego versions of these games that you can play through, where you're playing through the movie and getting to experience the movie, but in a fun, silly way. And there's still challenges that you can do and things you can unlock. I mean, there's a lot of content you can unlock in these Lego games, and so it's and the replay, it adds to the replay value a lot, because you can go back and play through the levels with unlocked characters to find more unlocked items and ships and things that you can do. So I dig it a lot. I'm looking forward to having a new interesting Harry Potter game that's going to be set in a different time period, where you can actually explore the Harry Potter mythos and wizarding world. And so, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, here's hoping that it lives up to the legacy. Huh.
Here's hoping.
All right.
Are there any other honorable mentions on your all's list? Anything else that y'all can think of coming out this year that we haven't mentioned yet?
The one I have been replaying the Disgaea series in anticipation of Disgaea 6, which is coming out this summer. I am very excited about it. You, in the past, were maxed to level 9999 before you could reincarnate, and now apparently you can go up to level 1,000,000 something. So no shortage of grinding to do there.
Oh, that's incredible.
If you like big numbers, this is the game for you.
Well, I can't think of anything else. What about you, Jimmy? Any final thoughts or games or whatever?
I'm waiting on Cyberpunk to come out of early access. That's
yeah, that one. I guess they're gonna kind of end up with the next gen console release being a definitive edition with all the bugs hopefully fixed. So, be interesting to see how that comes together.
Yeah, and I find that it's really weird. Like they rushed out the last gen console stuff because the new gen consoles were coming out, so they had to get it out, right? And then you find out, well, the new gen consoles are running the last gen console version until the new gen console version comes out. So it's kind of shades of that. Like by the like super HD edition, oh, by the way, that you're buying the patch that's going to come later, right? Like for that other game you were talking about.
Yeah, Control. Well, at least in the case of Cyberpunk, it's the same purchase, right? The problem with Control was they wanted you to buy it again at full price.
Yeah, I mean it's yes, but still, right? It's just weird. Like, hey, I got my new PS5 that I paid like $2,000 from a scalper for because I'm dumb, and now I'm gonna play Cyberpunk. Oh, well, it turns out could play it on my PS4 exactly the same, except that you can't.
Well, yeah, because it doesn't actually work on the PS4.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So maybe it is the next gen version that got released because the previous gen just doesn't work at all. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how. I really think CD Projekt Red will pull it out.
I do I do. And even like the PC version, though, it needs the rest of it done, because it's like I enjoy what's there, but I feel like a lot of the AI, as far as how NPCs act in a firefight, is pretty wooden. It's like, cool game, could be better. I'm gonna wait. So I just kind of like backed off of it, and it's just like I don't want to like get sick of this game and then the good version comes out. So I'm just kind of like in chill and wait mode.
Yeah, I decided not to play it for kind of the similar mindset. What I find interesting is that apparently the world's forgotten that when Witcher 3 came out, it was really clunky and awkward and had bugs and had problems, and the UI was terrible. And they fixed it, and it's considered one of the greatest games of all time now. But like when it first came out, it was not that. And I think that's why
to get it up to where it needed to be.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I think, I have faith that they'll get it there eventually with Cyberpunk. So anyway, all right, Mr. Table for Two.
Do we have any information on when the Arc 2 release is supposed to be? Is that supposed to be this year? Is that do we know yet?
I don't know that we know. I thought it was coming out in 2022, but I might be mistaken about that.
Arc 2 starring Vin Diesel.
Yes, we have the article linked. I should pull it up.
That's what I'm looking at. But there's no information about the release time frame.
Oh, so we may not know then. Yeah.
Well, guys, that's been our look into the year of 2021, what we're looking forward to, what's coming out at least, and we're pretty excited over here for what's to come. So I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about on this show as we move through the year. So thank you, everybody. Be sure to go over to gilded.otherworlds.gg for more, to interact with us, come and hang out and join the chat, join our Friday night game sessions that we have together. Post a funny meme in our memes channel, those kinds of things. We have a pretty good time over here, so come check it out. And with that, this has been episode number 7, and we'll see you guys next time.